Morgan, who is a conscious career coach, and we're all going to talk about how to accelerate your career change in 2025. Hello, Laura. Thanks for
Hi,
being here
Chrissy.
today. Yeah, so
Yeah, thanks
good.
for arranging it. I'm very jealous of your sunny Thailand background right now.
Well, it's not very sunny at the moment. There's actually a lot of cloud. We've actually been having quite a lot of rain, but in between the rain, there's sunshine and beautiful weather. So, yeah, that is really nice. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you about this today because, of course, it's December and the year's coming to an end. And I think a lot of people watching, or maybe who will watch the replay, are really reflecting in this time of year, like, am I still happy in my career? Is this still what I want to do? Or do I maybe want to do something completely different? And I think that's really good and really healthy. And there are just so many new and other opportunities out there for 2025. So now is really, the perfect time to sit down and reflect about what else you could be doing if you feel like you're not feeling fulfilled in your career. So I thought to start off, maybe you can just introduce yourself to my audience.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, my name is Lara Morgan. I'm a career coach. I work with professionals to help them find a career they love, I say. And I think these days we don't always believe that's possible, or we don't believe that we deserve to have a career we love, but I truly believe it's possible for everyone. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm currently based in cold Amsterdam. But yeah, really excited for our conversation today.
Yes. So I'll just introduce myself to your audience. So I'm Christy and I'm a career coach, and I specifically help women who've been in a burnout before and they have come back to work. They've recovered from their burnout, but through the burnout, they've changed. And they now know that they want something different in their life. They want something more meaningful, more fulfilling. But what? That's the big question. And that's what I help them discover, what they truly want, what they're really passionate about, what their purpose is. And yeah, together we find a meaningful career for them. So
Yeah. Oh, this is going to be one juicy conversation.
so I have prepared some questions for you, but we can see how it goes. But yeah, I think a lot of people are probably really wondering, how difficult will it actually be to make a career change in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, right? If you're you know, that's the big question that keeps people stuck in a career that they're not necessarily enjoying or feeling fulfilled and feeling challenged is, how difficult is it going to be to make a career change? And the answer is it really varies on a lot of things. It could be dependent on the level of transition you want to make. So, for example, do you want to change from UX to product manager,
Mm.
same industry but different field? Or is it a completely new role for you, like starting a business or transitioning from a cafe worker to working in SaaS could be much bigger transition. But the caveat is it doesn't have to make it more difficult. Yeah, there's a lot of research out there now, in particular, this quite famous study from Harvard University called the dark horse theory.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows evidence to suggest that even if you have no background in the industry at all, if you've got the right passion and motivation, your growth can be accelerated. Yeah, because you
Mm.
have all these experiences from another field, and that can sometimes offer a really fresh perspective in your chosen new field. I think the key is that you've got the right drive and the right passion to accelerate your growth. Doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah, 100%. No, I totally agree with you. I've also heard so many, well, I've seen with my own clients, but with even my own, story, like it's never too late to do something completely different. I mean, I come also from a very different background and now doing career coaching.
Yeah.
But we'll dive into a little bit more about that, about the transferable skills and stuff like that, that can
Mm.
really make it possible. And what do
Yeah.
you think, like, what skills is necessary for a successful career change?
Yeah. Well, of course, adaptability and flexibility. And I think that's the most important skill in general of today's age. For the first time in our lives, we don't know what skills are going to be relevant in the next 10 years, with
Mm.
AI and so many advancements in technology. The best skill that we can harness is actually to be able to be flexible and adaptable. So, if you've been considering a career change, but you've been held back by those fears, think about that. We really don't know what the future holds, so why not try something new? But aside from that, I think
Mm.
the main thing is commitment. Most businesses or career changes fail because the person who was making the change didn't commit. They didn't commit fully because they maybe didn't believe in themselves or things got hard and they gave up. But it's really
Hmm.
that commitment that's going to see you through and give you the resilience you need to succeed. What do you think about that? I'm interested to actually flip that question on you as well.
I'm just quickly, sorry for interrupting you, but I'm just quickly wondering, are we still recording on LinkedIn? Because I closed my LinkedIn. Can you see?
It says recording, yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, perfect. Um, so I think you need to be able to have resilience and know that sometimes it's not like just you can maybe fail, but you have to keep up and keep on going. If you maybe try something and you're like, oh, this is actually not it for me, see it as a stepping stone um to try something different. So in my own situation, for example, I had this idea that I knew I didn't want to be in working in an office anymore from 9 to 5. So I was thinking, you know what, I want to maybe become a beautician because I thought I wanted to work with my hands and things like that. When I tried doing that, I did an internship, and then I realized, you know what, this is actually not for me. This is not what I want to do, because I feel like I want to work with the head more. I want to be able to understand what are people thinking and feeling and those kind of things. And if I never had that experience doing the beautician,
Yeah.
and I would have probably never known that I want to do something more with psychology and helping people with their mindset. So I see everything
Hmm.
as a stepping stone. So also, I've also with
Yeah.
clients of mine that through the coaching program, they thought that they wanted to do something. And then only later on in the coaching program, they actually decide, you know what, this is not for me. I actually want to do something else. Because when they start doing the research on certain things,
Yeah.
they might find out, or they start speaking to, I think it's what's also really important to do, start speaking to different people and asking, like, who are already doing what you want to do, and asking them,
Yeah.
are you enjoying the job? What do you like about the job? What don't you like about the job? What
Yeah.
skills do you really need? And through that, the discovery, you will actually see, is it really something for me or not? And if it's not,
Yeah.
don't worry, then it's a stepping
It's
stone.
okay.
It
Yeah.
will help you figure out more. It's towards the path of what you really want to do, and it won't always just be a linear thing. It might
For
be
sure.
turns and twists, but eventually you will find what you want to do. But it's all about really taking the action.
Definitely. I think that's a great point. I think we often see it as a failure if we try something and
Mm.
it doesn't work. But actually, it's a success because you're learning more about yourself. And your example was perfect. You learned that you didn't want to just work with your hands, but you had to actually move in that direction in order to discover that. And that's what this is, right? Our purpose in life and our work is really discovering more of ourselves in the process. So we're just in a process of moving closer and closer to what feels really good for us and what feels really aligned and where we can do our best work. And part of that is trying things and failing. So it shouldn't be considered a failure. You're just moving closer and closer to what's right. So I love that point.
Yeah, you know what I'm also thinking, like, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. You change. So
Mm,
just like how some people, not everyone, wants maybe a different partner, or like you're not with your same, a lot of us are not with the same boyfriends as in high school because we've changed and grown so much and evolved. Same with your career,
mm,
like what you maybe really enjoyed doing 10 years ago, might not suit you anymore because you've changed. And like I said, also through burnout, your wants and needs can change, but also motherhood can really change you,
Mm.
or just getting
Mhm.
older. So that's
Yeah,
my point again, that it's totally okay to want something different.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, for
And
sure.
what do you think? What role does upskilling and reskilling play in a successful career transition?
Yeah, do you know what? It's pivotal. Yeah, not just because you're actually learning the skills necessary to do that next job, but making that investment in terms of time and money in that new
Mm.
field is what really holds you accountable. Yeah. It's like having stake in the game. When you put time and money into something, you're invested then, and that actually levels up your commitment, which was the other important skill we talked about. So I think it's super important. But that's not to say your transferable skills aren't important
Mm.
either. You've already gained so many amazing skills and experiences from your work. You may not know the relevance of them for that new job yet, but actually they provide a fresh perspective to the role that you may not have necessarily considered, and they can accelerate your growth as well. Um, so I think, new skills and upskilling is as important as transferable skills.
Yeah, I think it also depends, on what type of job, because, some jobs like, especially like when it comes to like a data engineer or technical things, then you need to like have a lot of skills. But there's also so many
Absolutely.
other soft skills, like if you've done sales or marketing, those are like all transferable. So an example, I had a client, she was always in sales and she wanted to become a product owner. And then she had no experience in that. So she did 2 interviews, and both both interviews didn't want to hire her. So
Mm,
I was like, don't now give up and be like, yeah, I cannot be a product owner. Like, keep on going. And then the third interview, she actually got the job, and that's just
yay.
because, because they saw potential in her. And I think sometimes it's also, you have to put yourself out there and go out and network and see who's already doing that in your network. Because
Mm,
so how she got the job, it was like via. So a friend of a friend, like that. So she actually used, so the 2 ways to network, either you can use your existing network. So really look at where are your friends working and friends of friends and family members and all those things, and like
hmm.
who are all their connections. But you can also just start seeing like what type of companies you find interesting and what type of people and what kind of positions do you find interesting, and then reach out to those
Yeah,
people. And so
for sure.
often they'll be like, you know what, we actually have a job opening, we're actually looking for someone. um
Definitely.
because they don't always advertise everything online, because a lot of times
No.
they would rather want to, someone via, because then they rather have someone who they kind of know through someone than a complete stranger.
Absolutely. And I think that act of being proactive and reaching out and explaining why you're excited about this company or what they're doing is really actually quite rare. Most people just
Mm,
reactionally apply to job ads. So when you're proactive and show that you really care about
mm,
what they're doing, I think more often than not, people are willing and open to having a chat. But actually, that brings me to a question I really wanted to ask you because I get this a lot and on the topic of
mm,
upskilling. So you've got this new course or expertise in this new field, but you've got no
mm.
on-the-job experience. How would you advise that someone actually gains some experience in this new field? And does that mean that they have to take a huge pay cut? What does that look like for your clients?
So yeah, either they can take like indeed an online course, and you can still do those things next to your current job, like there's so many courses that you can do like in your own time or at night or in the weekends, things like that. Or you can do an internship first, or start shadowing people.
Hmm.
Start asking someone if you can do a project for them for free. So I would also always like, volunteer for something. I would also never just advise to, unless you have a lot of spare finances saved up. But if you don't, then, keep your current day job, but maybe you can see if you can work less at it. So instead of full-time, maybe you can work part-time, and then use those other days, so maybe 1 or 2 days a week, to upskill and to see where you can, like, for example, I had a client who wanted to become an interior designer. So she also did in the beginning shadow work, working for free at companies like an intern to gain experience. In my own case, I was still an air hostess when I started my coaching business, and I was just started to coach people for free to gain the experience. So yeah, you have to think a little bit out of the box and be a little bit creative. And I would also really ask other people, what did they do to get the job? What I also find so inspiring to be in Bali, because we were there for the last few months, how many people started their own companies from scratch and all successful. They're all are, living there and creating a living by themselves. And they also had to learn all these things from scratch and new, but they're doing it. And they're like a living example that it is possible to start something new. And they're all people in their 30s from scratch.
Definitely.
So, but I think it has also to do a lot with your mindset,
And I think people don't realize how much intrinsic motivation you get from actually applying yourself to something that you love, like coaching, for example, or the new business or the new course. If you've chosen it, it's way different from when you did your studies the first time and that job and that area that you landed on. Actually, the motivation comes from within. It's not based on, because you have to do it for your job or money or something else. And that really fast tracks your growth and your learning. And it's really fun at the same time.
And what I also speak to clients about, like, a lot of people are also a bit bored at their work. They have maybe not a burnout, but a bore out, because they can do their work super well. They know everything what they have to do, but it just doesn't give them energy. And like, how much fun is it to learn new things? Like, just like plants, they're growing and changing all the time. So we are also on earth to learn and grow and develop. So it's actually, like a lot of people, they're scared, like, if to apply for a job because they don't have all the skills. But that's actually super exciting when you don't have all the skills. And a lot of times it's just a wish list, and the employers, they also just trying to see, like the best candidate. But in the end, if they like you, if they see something, they would rather hire someone who they really like and have a connection and a bond and a chemistry with, than someone who might be better in their skills, but maybe have a less connection. A lot of times, life it's also not always fair, like a lot of times the people who are successful or get the job is actually because they are being, liked. And people see potential in them.
Absolutely. But as you said, I think it's the fear that holds people back, the fear that I can't do it or I've not done it before. And that's really our brain's way of keeping us safe and stuck. We've evolved to have this defense mechanism in our brains, which keeps us safe, but also protects us from danger. But in the case of a career change, it's really not necessary because we are safe and we can handle any new obstacle that comes up. So I think, as you said, it's a lot about that mindset of self-belief and self-trust, and that I'm going to work it out along the way and I'm going to try it anyway. And it's okay if I fail. It's okay if it's messy to begin with, but I trust myself to keep going because this is what I really want to do.
Yeah, because failure is part of the process. And indeed, if you really find out what you're really passionate about or what you really enjoy doing, sometimes people think, oh, passion, but if you really find something that you really just enjoy doing, you'll be more motivated to really go for it and get better at it. And it's like also fun to see yourself grow and develop and get better in something like that. And know that failure is part of the process, and that's okay. That's how you actually learn the most. But I think you really have to start working on your mindset to really get that growth mindset. Because self-doubt will come, You will have
Yeah,
that. You will have fears. But
that's
what I always
inevitable.
find interesting how you can, how you can, the first thought you can never control, you know? That's just a pops in. So, oh, I'm gonna fail, I'm not gonna do it. But the second thought you can, and that's what's so interesting about
Cool.
mindset work, when you can start to challenge those thoughts and be like, is that really
Yeah.
true? And how do I feel when I think it's true? And how do I feel when I think it's not true? And how can I turn it around? How can I
Yeah,
create new affirmations? Because it's all
exactly.
about what we're telling ourselves day in and day out.
Absolutely. And knowing that you're not your thoughts and sort of observing them rather
Mm,
than letting them dominate you and choosing to act anyway. So saying thanks for your concern, but you're not necessary today. I'm going to do this anyway because it's what I want to do and it aligns with my values and passions and yeah. I've actually got a failure story I'd like to share. So
okay,
just
cool.
outing myself and my own failures, but there's a crucial distinction here that I want to make sure the listeners get. So
Yes.
okay, so when you're making a career change, you want to make sure it aligns with your values, right? And it needs to
Yeah.
be your values, not your mum's values, your dad's values, or the values of society around you, which you
Mm,
think are your own, but they're not actually yours. And it also needs to be a passion. So it's not enough just for it to align with your values. And this was my instance. So when I was in my late
mm,
20s, I had fashion experience before, and I tried to start this cactus leather wallet brand. So it was a vegan leather made from a cactus in Mexico. And I
cool.
thought, this really aligns with my values. I was working with a
Ah,
coach, I was doing it the right way, and I cared about sustainability. So I thought this is going to be the thing that really takes off for me. It's going to be great. But it wasn't making wallets and the whole actually the process wasn't a passion of mine. It didn't give me
yes.
energy actually in the process. And I realized that I didn't want wallets to be my product. I wanted people to be my product and work with
Mm,
people. And so, although there was that values alignment from a sustainability perspective, the day to day wasn't a passion. So I
mm.
just wanted to highlight that for all of our listeners.
So important. And you also had another story I remember. It was about that lady who became an author. I thought that could also be interesting, maybe to share. That who
Yeah.
became an author much later on in life.
Oh my gosh, I've heard the most amazing career change stories lately. And
Yes.
yes, you're referring to this lovely lady I met in Thailand, and she was a molecular biologist, and she's now a 7 times best-selling author. Isn't that the most amazing story? And her words that she said to me were, it was actually quite an easy transition. And that's
Oh
what I
wow.
mean when I say it doesn't need to be tough. If it's really aligned with your values and it's a passion, it kind of comes naturally and it kind of just works.
Mm.
I had the same experience for my transition actually, and it just felt easeful and right. And I think a lot of people can have that. You've just got to do the prep work, and that's, really figuring out what the right thing is for you before jumping into something. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think you really have to first see, okay, what are my values? Like, what do I really want, instead of, like you said, society or my parents or my friends. So first figure out really who you are on a deeper level. Because I think a lot of us don't really know who we truly are and what we really
Yeah.
want. And once we know that, then we can start to figure out, okay, what kind of career really aligns with that.
Hmm.
And then that's really the mindset work. So really, I'm actually quite curious about that lady, if she had any fear of failure or doubt or things like that. um Maybe she did, but maybe she had a very strong mindset, so she could,
Yeah. She
get
didn't.
herself.
Mm, she didn't mention. It sounds like the passion of what she was doing just really took her. So
Mm,
through her molecular biology, she ended up doing a course in technical writing so she could
mm,
write for more science-based work. And through the technical writing, she discovered creative writing, and that's when
mm.
she started writing her first novel. And it just happened that way. And yeah. She sent it to a publisher. It was accepted. They asked her to do more books, and it just really unraveled from there. Uh, But yeah, no, great story.
Yeah, and it is a really amazing story. But what I also just want to say is that, like, okay, so with my clients, I either, because I know that a lot of people also have the whole financial thing is terrifying. So you
Mm.
need to have a plan, of course. So that's why I said either still keep your current job and start exploring other things so that you're not, like without income, you cannot pay the rent, or have like some sort of a buffer so you can start to explore. Or I know some clients, they have like a husband that is willing to support them while they discover something new. But indeed,
Hmm.
if you kind of have that, which actually a lot of people have either one of these situations, what are you
Yeah.
afraid of,
Totally. But if you don't, as you said, it is possible to scale down your work slightly. I think as a society, especially in the Western society, we're used
Yes.
to that. We're really attached to that exact same paycheck coming in every month,
Mm,
and that avoids us thinking long term. Yeah, so we're stuck in
yes.
this short term thinking of I must earn X amount a month
Mm,
and nothing less. Whereas you know, sometimes you can take a step back to go a million miles forward. Think about where you'd be in
yes.
5, 10 years. If you took that 2 days for yourself, yes, and money's tighter for the next few years while you get this new career up and running. But think of the reward in the end. And if you're
Mm.
in the right field, you may end up the CEO. You may end up running your own successful business. You don't know, but you have to give yourself that opportunity. You deserve that opportunity.
And you've heard a lot of stories, of people who followed their dream, and then, yeah, for a while they might maybe didn't go out for dinner, or they went out for dinner less, or they bought less clothes, or, I mean, we're living in this society where we're just consuming and buying and buying. And it's very interesting now being here in Thailand and in Bali, where people are like, we didn't really need that much stuff, like nobody's
Hmm.
driving fancy cars here, or having fancy handbags or clothes, because it's like nobody really cares about that stuff. So it's also, I'm not saying like I also love nice things, like but I was willing to sacrifice, also in the beginning, like now, if I have maybe had a really nice month, I can buy myself something really nice or something. But um like you said, you have to go through a point where you might have to save a bit. But eventually, if you really do something you're passionate about, you are going to be successful in it, and you will earn more money.
Yeah.
People are going to see that you're very enthusiastic. So you're going to get a salary raise, you're going to get a
Yeah.
promotion. It can go much faster than if you would have stayed in this
Yeah.
career, where the managers can see that you're not being motivated, you're not happy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Who knows? Either you would have, if you would have stayed, you would have either end up burnt out, or you would have maybe gotten fired because they saw that you weren't, putting in the effort, or you felt
Yeah.
drained. So you don't know.
It's not
So
sustainable, right?
it's not sustainable. I mean, the amount of people that I've been speaking to with burnouts, and just also, what's more important, like your mental health, that should really be a priority, like your happiness,
Definitely. But
than
I
being in
think
a job that's
people,
draining.
sorry, to cut you off
No.
there. I just think that people don't trust themselves to be able to
Mm,
work it out and to be able to pursue that new path, and so they keep with the safe option. But if you really trusted that you'd be successful in this new field, you wouldn't mind taking that short-term risk because
mm,
you know that in the long term it's going to pay off. And that's where I think the self-belief, self-trust piece is the
yeah.
most important when it comes to changing your career.
And that's what's so important to, do coaching, or work on your mindset, or do, read those personal development books, go see someone, talk about these limiting beliefs, like get change. Because it's not just
Yeah.
about finding that fulfilling career, but it's also about becoming a new person, like becoming that confident person, because we
Yeah.
all can. It's just we're keeping ourselves small by our limiting beliefs and our doubts and stuff. But if you can start
Yeah.
to reprogram the way you think, then you become so much more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, you become a different person, the person who
Yeah,
can do that hard thing and the person that doesn't doubt themselves. So that in itself is worthwhile.
100%. And how do you think someone can ensure that their next career move aligns with their values and passions?
Yeah, I mean, doing the work. So there's many different ways to really assess what your values are. And we always do it in the first month of my coaching program because
Mm.
that's the prep work required to actually
Yes.
take the practical steps and to move forward. First, you really need to understand who am I beyond the conditioning, beyond who my parents told me to be, like we mentioned. What are the
Mm.
values that are really true for me? So yeah, working with a coach or on your own, there's different exercises online. Um, ChatGPT can actually be a really good friend when it comes to making a career transition as well and helping you generate the options and then we work with these options to find what most aligns with your core values and passions. So AI can definitely be a friend there too if you don't have the resources to use a coach.
Yeah, I think a coach can help you get somewhere so much faster. I remember when
Mhm.
I was really struggling myself to figure all this stuff out, and I felt very alone in this because, everyone around me, like friends and family, they'd all figured out, and they were all very successful in their careers and getting salary raises and paychecks and all these things. And here I was feeling like all alone and like very
Yeah.
confused with what am I going to do. But what's interesting enough is that afterwards a lot of those people also all went through, like, I don't know if you could call it like a midlife crisis, but like a job crisis kind of thing, when they
Yeah.
also all were like, this job is not for me. So it was funny because in that time when I was going through it, nobody else was going through it, and that's what really
Yeah.
made me worry about myself. And now, of course,
No,
being a career coach, now you see how many people actually
go
struggle
through
with
it.
their career, go through it. But it's like one of those topics that people don't really like to openly talk about.
The thing is, some people are not willing to look at it, but we all go through it.
Yes.
Like every 7 years, our body completely changes on a
Mm.
cellular level. So we're actually not made to stay in the
Interesting,
same
huh?
career our whole lives. Like it's normal that you want to change and you want to evolve and you go through different phases in your life and
Mm.
things like motherhood change you, burnouts change you. And so we just need to be a little bit more okay with that uncertainty and that period of doubt in order to find what's next for us. But it's inevitable that will happen to everyone. It's just whether we're willing to go there and look at it. Um, but I had another really a funny story I wanted to share. And not everyone's career change will be as extreme as this, but I just wanted to highlight that sometimes our egos can keep us stuck in a career that we don't want because we think that
Mm.
we should be in this position or we think that it looks good from the outside, but it's not actually true for
Mm.
us, and that keeps us stuck. But I actually know someone that went from being the CEO of a company to driving buses. Um,
Oh, wow, that's cool.
so it doesn't necessarily always need to feel like
Yeah.
linear or that you're yeah, getting more senior in the world. It can be something completely different that you've never done before that your heart wants for some reason.
Yeah, that's so cool, that he actually, I mean, but maybe he also thought, I've already proved myself. I don't need to prove myself to anyone anymore. I'm
Yeah,
now going to just do something that really makes me happy.
yeah,
And
brilliant.
in the end of the day, we are just visitors here on Earth. We're all gonna die one day. How do you want to look back on your life when you
Mm,
sitting on your porch in your rocking chair, looking back? Do you want to have any regrets, or do you want to be like, I tried everything and I explored and I failed
mm,
forward and I took risks?
yeah,
Because yeah, sometimes we do have to take some sort of a risk, yes. But I always ask, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And usually the worst thing that can happen is actually like an emotion. Because we always do things because of an emotion that it causes us. It makes us
true.
feel a certain way. And we all are just always chasing happiness and wanting to feel good. Um, but sometimes if you're able to if you learn how to process the negative emotions, then you
Hmm.
become very powerful because then okay, some people they don't even want to try and apply for a new job because they hate that feeling of rejection, like that people say no.
Yes,
But if you're like able to deal with that feeling of rejection, you know that every no is going to get you closer to yes. Um,
absolutely.
then you become more powerful and it becomes more okay to have the negative, to feel the negative emotions. And
Yeah.
eventually you're going to get the reward, you know. You have to go through the pain sometimes, and then the reward comes
Yeah.
afterwards, which is just so amazing. The feeling of
Yeah.
really feeling fulfilled, really feeling like you doing something meaningful, adding something, making an impact in the
Absolutely.
world.
And then you've built that resilience from within that you can handle anything that
Mm.
comes your way, whether it's to do with your career, your relationships, or health. You've got that center of strength and solidity that you can fall back on. So yeah, that
You
was
know
great.
what's funny? Talking about New Year's resolutions, because that's of course the time, you know, when everybody's talking
Yes,
about that. That a lot of times, you know, like having a meaningful career will really cause a ripple effect on the rest of your life. So you'll probably start to notice that your health is going to be better. Because you want to go more to the gym, you have more energy to exercise. You have more, you feel like seeing your friends more. You have better relationship with your partner, because it's the same
true.
the other way around. You know, when you feel miserable, you don't want to go out. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to see anyone.
No.
You irritable. So a lot of times you don't even have to have any New Year's resolutions, because everything kind of like falls into place when you are feeling fulfilled in your career, because it really causes a ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and do you have any, I think we can sort of round off now. I don't know if you have maybe any last piece of advice for people who are thinking, you know what, I think it's time for a career change, maybe in the new year. Um, Start
Yeah.
fresh.
Absolutely. My advice for anyone that's thinking about a career change in the new year, but they don't yet know what it is they want, would be to use the holidays, this beautiful time that you hopefully have
Mm,
off for a week or two, to really spend some time alone and
mm,
tune into what it is you want. Tune into those moments that give you the most energy and that get you the most excited. When you've got this space and this little time off, hopefully over Christmas
mm.
or in the new year, it's the best time to really reflect and go inwards and think about what's next. And you, Christy, like what would be your one biggest piece of advice for anyone looking to change careers?
Yeah, so, you know, when I was also feeling lost, and I also tell my clients to do this, like start looking for clues in your life. Like, for example, walk around your house and think like, what, go to your bookcase. What kind of books do you read? What kind of documentaries do you watch? What was your last, sorry, there's a mosquito. What kind of last heated discussion did you have? Because that's sometimes also shows where your passion is, you know?
Mm,
Um, what did you enjoy doing as your child? But like start to write those little things down, because that can give you clues as to what you want to do. And then indeed start slowing down. Don't plan the holiday. I know everybody does it, but I know especially in Holland, you know, all the weekends are full. Start to have some time for yourself. Like don't make all these plans. Don't make all the days full, but just have some time by
mm,
yourself to reflect. Go do some yoga, go meditate, go for a long walk in nature. A lot of times, and
mhm.
the answers all of a sudden pop. It's like, you know, when the soup starts boiling and then pop, 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 the bubbles, but
Yeah,
you cannot listen to your, you know, your intuition has all the answers. Start listening to that instead of, and your heart instead of your head. Like you said, which is trying to
definitely.
keep you safe. And to do that is by slowing down, getting into nature, getting into contact with your body.
Absolutely.
And
You
then
can't
you'll
hear
get
your
some answers.
intuition.
Yeah,
You can't hear your
exactly.
intuition when you're constantly flooded with information and you're constantly surrounded by people. Of course, you can't hear your intuition and feel what you really want. So, yes, super important to take that time for yourself.
And really be honest with yourself. Really be honest with yourself. Is this career really making me happy? And if not, then get the courage to make that change. And it doesn't have to be anything drastic. You can just start exploring, seeing, researching, speaking to people, and eventually, you know, you'll get there.
Great. Well, this has been an
Right.
awesome chat. I hope our
Yes,
audience
thank you
got
so
some value.
much.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Have a wonderful day, and thanks everyone for watching. All
Thank
right.
you. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.